Welcome to our Crucifixional live stream. Father Greg and Father Chris are here with you. We are glad to be with you, beautiful people. We're going to talk about trending issues. But before we do that, I just want to remind everyone we can issue accredited master's degrees. So you get to study with us. You get an accredited master's degree. Make sure to check out our website for all of that information. We are not taking every application. I know that sounds terrible, but this is a legit thing. So if you're interested, check the website. We'll be in touch. Also, I wanted to announce that we are launching our summer reading challenge. It is 6 weeks, and the topic we're going after basically is, well, it is not basically, it is titled Building a Family Worth Following. So we're going to address a lot of the issues that families struggle with and helping families become awesome. It's 6 weeks. So each week we will focus on a specific topic with dedicated readings. The topics are a family built on faith, a family with shared values, a family with stories worth sharing and creating them, a family that serves, a family that multiplies faith, and ultimately a legacy that endures. Each of the weeks will have a big idea for you to discuss with the family and a table question. What's a great question that you can talk with as a family about that week's topics? Starter question, I guess we'll call it, but a conversation around the table. So visit warriorsaints.org. Sign up for the summer challenge. All you got to do is just, fill the form and we'll email it to you. We are going to talk today about the economy and economics, something of which I know nothing about. So we're going to give you the best we can. But the impetus, Father Greg, behind all of this is the rising inflation, so forgive me, beautiful warrior saints. I'm not a finance major. I'm not a finance anything, but financier. It is, in the news, right? Obviously that the inflation is like at 4.2%. Is that right, Aaron? And yet job growth or, thank you, wage growth is 3 point something. So clearly they're not even, breaking even at this point, which causes a lot of stress. And our president, in response to that, I think one of his platforms that he ran on was that he's going to get rid of inflation. And then he ended up saying, "Oh, I love it." And I don't know why he would say that. I mean, I'm not a financial mind. I don't know what his reason is. I know he blamed it a little bit on the Iran and oil and all that kind of stuff. And once we open the strait, and it'll all come down. And I hope he's right. I mean, the pricing of everything is ridiculous. Why it's important for us as warrior saints and as people is that things are very hard to purchase for young families, right? Now, we just saw today, while we are filming this, SpaceX launched, and Elon Musk declared before it launched that the valuation of his company would be 1.75 trillion. I just looked at it before we started filming this, and it is now worth almost $2.2 trillion. So it blows my mind. Yeah. Those are numbers I can't even fathom. And so you think about, who knows how the day will end, but the point at this moment, it's like a $2 trillion company, and he just put it public. How can things like that exist? And I mean, he's doing amazing things. I get it. And yet families struggle, many to buy bread, let alone buy a home. Yeah. Or for some of us who have kids in college, holy cow, that kind of stuff. How do we get them through without debt? You know what I mean? And on it goes. So with that being said, we're going to talk about the economy, but in light of the real issue. Yeah. The real concern is, as warrior saints, how do we face adversity, right? The economic challenges that we're talking about today, they're just one in a host of many that all of us deal with. And so how do we deal with adversity? So with all of that being my opening ramble, let's get after it. I mean, you have any thoughts you want to take us out with? I don't know.
Yes, I would actually like to go out there and let everyone know that my company is currently valued at 1.6 trillion.
What's your company?
I don't know yet, but it's valued at 1.6 trillion because we could just declare these things and then they go out in the ether and then they happen. Yeah. It's insane. Because there is a lot of adversity out there. Not to talk about SpaceX. That's a whole nother thing. I don't understand math. I don't understand those numbers. I do know that it is hard to raise a family right now. Yeah. It is hard to be able to go to the gas station and deal with filling your tank for $70 that used to be $50. Yeah. Or $40, I mean, I remember when I started driving way back in the Stone Age, it was $1.99, and that was high.
Yeah.
Now this like $4.29, whatever it is, like it's a real thing. And how do you deal with it? You got to work together, and you got to make some sacrifices, and you've got to figure out this is the moment, right? Like when adversity hits, that becomes the moment for warrior saints to actually stand up and say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be crucifixional. I'm going to do what I have to do because I've got to do it. Right. It might not be fun. It might not be exciting. It might not be what I want, but I need to be crucifixional.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thrust of everything we teach. And really, you hit on some points. It was funny. You said how cute when you started driving in the Stone Age, $1.99. When I became an adult and Allie and I moved, we had just gotten married. We moved to Oklahoma City. It was 77 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
So, and there are others out there watching who are like, I remember it was 20. I mean, you know, we were just in Hawaii. My beautiful bride and I, we took a vacation, and it was like $7 a gallon.
Yeah.
When we had to fill up the rental car. And so I can't fathom, like I have an electric car. I have a Tesla, as you know. And so I haven't been to the gas station. So when I heard all this, I was like, what? Like, you know, I'm out of the loop on that because I don't fill it. But I thought, holy cow, it was $50 in Hawaii, and I put like 3 gallons in or whatever it was, you know, to fill up the rental car to return it. Like I was floored by that stuff. And you can imagine the struggles. I do imagine the struggles that many people go through. And I think it can feel oppressive. I keep talking about the squeeze.
This is the squeeze moment.
I feel like, you know, when I say the squeeze, it's like I often feel, because, you know, my own doing, too many things going on, and I feel like I'm in a vice. And that pressure, it wakes me up. Or if I do wake up for another reason, it keeps me up for sure. I can't go back to sleep. You know, it's got to be, something's got to give. And yet there are those forces that are beyond your and my control, and the majority of us to, you know, effect change, right? Like I don't get to, as funny as you are, you and I don't get to declare that the Warrior Saints Academy is worth 1.6 trillion. You know, now it's not worth that. SpaceX probably is, which is why he said that. But the point I'm driving at here is that this is a challenging time that you and I and all the rest of us don't get to affect much control over.
Right.
We do, however, have the ability to affect total control over the way we respond to it.
Yep. And
so rather than be, complaining all the time and looking at things in the negative light all the time, I think it's incumbent upon us as Warrior Saints to reframe it and say, all right, this is the challenge in front of me right now. Let's get some. Now, what does that require? Obviously, in the financial world, there's a million things you can do. I mean, make more money, spend less money, make changes in location, in, living arrangements. Maybe you go from, there's a million things. I could go on and on. But it does require change.
Yeah.
In some sense. And so rather than me say, well, they've got to change and lower my taxes, which I whine about too, believe me. But it's that I've got to change. Because I'm not going to leave my fate in someone else's hand. And, sorry, I'll end with this. Write your own script.
Yeah.
Right? The script of your life. Fate is a terrible writer, they say. And you can either accept the script that's given to you, or you can write your own. And I choose to write my own. And I think I want to encourage everyone else to do that kind of stuff too. Because it's hard, but man, it can be done.
Part of that is recognizing that you've made the decisions you've made.
Okay, what do you mean?
Some of the things that you are dealing with, you're dealing with because of your decisions, right? So I'm going to give you a prime example. Childcare costs. They're not cheap.
Right.
So at some point, my wife and I were looking, and there wasn't that big of a difference between what we were paying for childcare costs and what her salary was. So we had to have a real conversation. Are we going to have her keep working and then just keep paying for the childcare costs? Or is she going to take a step back and then won't have to have those childcare costs because she'd be home with the kids? But whatever decision we decided to go with, then we had to be committed to it.
Right.
And then we had to deal with whatever that meant based on those decisions.
Gotcha.
So when you make your decisions, you're going to be squeezed in some direction.
Right.
And adversity is always going to come. inflation is one thing right now that we're dealing with. Fine. But once you make those decisions and decide how you're going to deal with it, you then have to commit and you have to go out. And that's what writing your own script really looks like. Yeah. It's not just that you make the decisions. It's after you've made that decision, you've got to go and you've got to fully commit and you've got to live your life understanding that you've made those decisions.
Yeah, for sure. I absolutely. And adversity, you know, we all face it in life all over the place. I mean, it's a funny thing that, especially in the West, where we are very comfortable, we all have, you know, developed systems and put protocols in place so that it is easy, or at least easier. And in some sense, we all have this beautiful fantasy of living a perfect life where I don't ever struggle and there's no adversity and everything's smooth and I am comfortable all the time. I mean, think about this. I was reading it in a book once and he said a great line. He's like, even when we exercise, we go to large buildings and run in air-conditioned rooms that have a bunch of TVs around so we can keep eyes on the stock market. You know, like, I mean, even in our exercise, which is inherently supposed to be uncomfortable, we have designed it in a comfortable way. And so what we have found is that this comfort chasing and trying to the best of our ability to remove adversity has negatively affected us.
Yeah.
You know, crazy.
It's insane.
And not to be a judgy kind of jerk about things, but we were in Hawaii, right? And, you know, you have to travel in airports to get there and to get back. And then you're around the pool, which is basically all we did, just to relax and sit at the pool. And so you see people in bathing suits. And, you know, I obviously am sounding like a judgmental jerk, but oh my gosh, Americans are not healthy people. You know what I mean? And you could see in Hawaii people who were American and people who were not, based on their physical health. I mean, you could just see it.
Yeah.
And then I watched all the stuff that people were eating in the airport. Holy cow. Anyways, adversity was the topic. But that's part of it. You know, we don't want to be hungry.
Right.
So, well, I'm at the airport and, you know, they've got, you know, this crappy food, but I'm hungry. Okay.
So I'm going to go for it.
Yeah. So as opposed to saying, maybe I'll face that adversity. Right? Because to your point, we all say we want to be healthy. And we all set that New Year's resolution. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to be buff and beautiful and toned. And then all of a sudden we get uncomfortable and we're not committed to it. And then, you know, the stats by February 12th, 90% of New Year's resolutions are done. Right? Yeah. I don't know. Did you want me to say more?
I don't know. I mean, I was thinking about it earlier. You were saying we want this ideal world where there's no adversity. But the reality is that that would be boring.
For sure. Totally.
Because there's always going to be some type of adversity.
Right.
And it's ridiculous to think that we're going to be adversity free all the time, no matter what. I mean, you said going to the gym. Like, going to the gym sucks.
Yeah.
Trying to eat healthy really sucks.
Yeah.
Planning ahead before a flight so that you pack a box lunch so that you can eat when you are hungry and it's your controlling. But we don't want to do all of that work. We don't want to do all of those steps. Yeah. It's we default to the easy, and then we're surprised by the results of the easy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, you're totally right. And here's the problem with ultimately the message I would want to throw out there to our warrior saints is that adversity is good. It is so good for you. And again, there is ample science that shows that children who are helicoptered and protected versus children who are allowed to face adversity, very different outcomes in both of their lives.
Without question.
You know, and like, so a simple metaphor I use, when you lift weights, you know, like that, you know, the pain on leg day, the next day after leg day, you know, the day after leg day. Well, the reason that happens is because you have torn the cells in your muscle.
Yeah.
And those cells are dying.
Mm-hmm.
And as they grow back and reproduce, they come back stronger and leaner and healthier. They call that DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. I mean, it's got a name. And that hurts, but it's good because if you keep doing it, you get buff legs, right? I mean, that's the idea of exercise. And adversity, therefore, it changes a man, it changes a woman, and hopefully, and most often I see in good ways, right? I know that in my own life, I'm sure you can tell your story after, but like in my own life, I've had all kinds of adversity, right? Started with the death of my father when I was 7, you know, not always getting the greatest grades, and not always behaving properly in college, drinking some of this and smoking some of that, and all the rest that goes with it. That led to chaos, right? Just and on and on. I could whine about all the things in life, but through each of them, and through what I called the squeeze, my most recent squeeze, I've come out on the other side totally different. I may not say I am a good man, but oh my gosh, I am a better man than I was. And so I kind of say, let's look for adversity. I don't mean to create unsafe and silly, disastrous situations in our lives, but let's chase the hard, right? Sorry, my mind is racing, but like you even think about the Marines. So there was a commercial that the United States Marine Corps just put out, and it was awesome because he said, the voiceover, showing the Marines and all this kind of stuff. He says, Marines don't run from danger. They run towards it. It's like they're going right towards the hard stuff. Yeah. But the closing line of the commercial was, you don't join the Marines, you become one. And I thought about the way they delivered that in their message. Obviously they're recruiting. But by running to the hardship and the adversity, there is a transformation. It's not just a club you get to get into. It's that you are now somehow different. And I have found that in my own life, and I've seen that in many people's lives too, right?
Yeah.
Think about Irving Hernandez. We keep picking on this kid. He's such a great kid.
Phenomenal.
But his story, it's somewhere in our archives back there. But like Irving's life, he's different. But he went through hell, literally.
Yeah. And he came out on the other side. I think that all of what you're saying is because the ability to take control and write your own script only happens in adversity.
Yeah.
In moments of adversity, that's when you are shown that it's time for you to take control and rewrite your own script. And you could not. And you could look at everything happening to you and be miserable and sit alone all day with crazy thoughts in your head and tell everyone why everyone else is wrong and you're the only one that's right. Or you could take control.
Yeah.
You can write your own story, and you could be the one who determines, how am I going to face this, deal with it, and then overcome it.
Right.
And when you do that, that's where transformation happens,
right.
Because that's where learning happens, because that's where finding new ways to do things and exercise lateral thinking and all these different things come into play, and you can actually get creative, and then you can actually do what you need to do.
Yeah, for sure. What's funny about all of it, and maybe we can wrap this up because, I think our point is go get some adversity.
Go.
But the human brain functions in story. That's how we think.
Yes.
Which is why movies, books, the good ones that follow the pattern of story resonate with us. And in all of them, like think about the big ones, Star Wars, Casablanca, Lord of the Rings is another great one. Even the Marvels in some sense follow the script in some sense. I just watched the other night for the first time Friday Night Lights, which is an older football high school town, and in all of them, the hero or heroine faces adversity, and sometimes they even lose, right? In the Friday Night Lights I just watched, the star of the team who was going on to USC and was going to make millions in the NFL one day popped his knee in the first game and was out, and the team had to come back, and he had to go through in his own life. But that story, that storyline of a hero wanting something, facing adversity and fighting through it, even when they want to quit, and conquering it, leading to transformation. That's the story, and that's how the brain works. And yet we so often, as especially Westerners, try to avoid that. And I'm saying, get in that storyline, man. Write your own script and let that script make sure that there's adversity and even some struggle and suffering and failure in there, because it's the bouncing back that makes it work. Anyways. Thanks. Appreciate the time. So
thank you.
Go get some. Be adverse. Don't be adverse. Face adversity. Being adverse is not nice.
That's
right?
a different
All right,
thing.
yeah. So remember, master's degree. Check out warriorsaints.org, man. I'm telling you, we're not taking every application that comes in. No disrespect to any people, but it's a legit thing. Also, summer reading challenge. Sign up. We're just going to send you, week one. Here are the readings for each day. Here are some big ideas. Here are some key questions. And the reading challenge is about building a family worth following. Let's make our families count. Yes, there are financial challenges out there. And yes, inflation is a pain in the you know what right now, but we will overcome these challenges by living a crucifixional life, walking on the way of the warrior saint, just being ferocious warrior saints. Love you, beautiful people. We'll be back. This is going out today, right? So we will see you again Sunday. Orthodox liturgy as usual, as always. Keep walking on the way of the warrior saint.